Hello everyone, this is Luke from Livestock Custom Homes. This is episode 2 in our series on how to improve a piece of land. In the last episode we talked about the hierarchy of documents, the Planning Act, the PPS, Places to Grow Act, and in this episode we're going to talk about the rest of these, which is mainly the Greenbelt Act and its associate policies, and the Heritage Act. So, if you are planning a project, before you spend thousands of dollars on plans and consultants, apply for variances, make sure you have a basic understanding of how planning works. So, the Greenbelt Act. This provides permanent protection of agriculture and environmental features in our province. It surrounds all of the Greater Toronto Area. It contains almost 2 million acres. It is the largest greenbelt in the world, and it actually severely limits the supply of land that can be developed. And because of that, it actually prevents urban sprawl from, into other regions, municipalities, and up north, basically all over the place. It will limit all of that. What studies have shown is that we have enough land to develop until 2031, maybe further down. And this is to do with like subdivisions and houses. How about after 2031? The population of the Greater Toronto Area is going to be close to 8 million people. So how do we accommodate all those people? How do we change the perception of the type of housing that people need and should need? Like what the Greenbelt does, it almost makes Toronto an island. Similar to New York City, same with Japan. These are cities that are very densely populated. Japan has 127 million people. Out of that, Tokyo itself has 13.6 million people, and the land area of Tokyo is about 2,200 square kilometers. Now, let's compare that to Toronto. Toronto has about 6.2 million people, and it's got a land area of about 7,200 square kilometers. So you do the numbers, Tokyo is 7 times more densely populated than Toronto. So that's huge. So talking about the Greenbelt Act, there's also 3 other policies that are more or less related to each other. The Niagara Escarpment Plan, the Oak Ridges Moraine Act, and the Lake Simcoe Protection Act. All of these, they're to do with the environmental features in those specific areas. And their intent is to preserve our natural beauty and our resources, and to control, urban sprawl, and to control any type of control agricultural land so it doesn't get developed. Now, this is a rundown on the provincial level. There's lots of information, and the question is, how do we navigate all of this? Well, the good reason is we don't have to. The regions and municipalities, they take all this information and they do it for us. And they do that by creating what's called as official plans. The municipalities are divided into 1-tier, single-tier, and 2-tier planning boards. Some are only one planning. There's only one planning board in place, and that is only for Toronto and Hamilton. Whereas the region of York has 2 planning boards. So the region of York has a regional official plan, and then all the municipalities in the York region have their own municipal official plans. So Aurora, King, Markham, Newmarket, Witchard Stouffville, Georgina, and East Gwillimbury all have their own official plans. So what can be found inside the official plans? I mean, there's a ton of great information. It tells you, what's allowed and what's not allowed. It tells you where growth is to happen. It tells you on when servicing is going to be extended. It has zoning maps for the entire city, and it also has zoning bylaws. And in most cases, there's a website for each municipality you can go to. You can put down your property address, and you can basically look up what the zoning is on that property. And it'll tell you what bylaws and what restrictions there are on that property. So I'm sure most of you that own a home have gotten these letters from the city, and these notices tell you what the current owner is looking at doing at their particular property. Whenever you get this notice, that means it doesn't specifically comply with the official plan or the zoning bylaw. It depends on how big the project is. So in the next episode, we're going to talk about these notices more. But I hope right now you got a general overview of how the Planning Act works and how everything feeds into the official plans. To summarize, all of these plans have one thing in common. It's to control urban sprawl, densify regions to make better use of existing services, and to protect the environment. So to the average homeowner, what does this mean? Densification is looked at positively. So if you're putting in additional units or you're increasing the size of your house, usually this will be looked at as a positive change, and you will get your approvals. And so the last act we're going to look at is the Ontario Heritage Act. This guy right over here. This gives municipalities the power to preserve the heritage buildings, heritage neighborhoods, and any type of archaeological sites. Even trees. Some trees are even heritage. So one example is we're currently working on a project where we have a church that's heritage. And we had to go through a very complicated process to get it approved because we're repurposing the church. And there's different stakeholders from the city, from the Heritage Society, and it's all about preserving the heritage aspects of the building that we're working on, and at the same time making it feasible. But remember, always do your due diligence, because every single area is not the same. And if you don't, if you go into one of those areas where you're proposing something radically different, you may have to go to the Committee of Adjustments or the Ontario Municipal Board, which we'll also talk about in the next episode. So thank you for listening, and remember, your lifestyle is up to you.